Hi guys, it's your girl Kendell Anise. Welcome to Conversations with Kendell Anise. I thank you so much for tuning in, and to everyone that's watching live, thank you so much. For those of you that saw this show last week, I really appreciate it. And remember, I'm here every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if you saw last week, you know I cried like a baby. I promise not to do that on every show, but I can't guarantee it. I was so nervous and excited and happy, and all of these emotions were running through my head last week. Also, I thought about it afterwards, and I said, I was saying I'll be 44 next month. Well, I'll be 44 Wednesday, y'all. I forgot it was June. So shout out to all my June babies and all my Geminis. I don't want to hear nothing over there in the peanut gallery about the Geminis. We're nice and sweet, I guess, you know, what people say, but we're not two-faced. That's the thing. Okay, so today I have a wonderful guest today. I just want to ask you guys two questions. The two questions that I have for you is, do you like your job? And are you currently loving the work that you do? If you can answer yes to both questions, then that's amazing. And why is that amazing? I just want to give you some statistics. Today's topic is, or the title is, Passion Employment. Okay? So I just want you to sit on that for a minute. And I have my guest here who I'll introduce in 1 second. He's looking wonderful to the left of me. I just want to read a Gallup poll. Okay, 70% of Americans hate their stupid jobs. This was a Gallup poll, okay? There is a reason why they call it work, someone said. And then, okay, the state of American workplace, in the state of American workplace, 70% of those who participated described themselves as disengaged from their work. And I just want to read this too because I find this interesting. Of over 150 people surveyed, only 30% admitted that they honestly enjoy their job. So which means there's 70% of you out there that hate your job. The remaining 18 people, 52% of the workers said that they really hate their job. And then the 18% of the people said they're just happy to work. So I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. And that leads me to my guest here. I just want to introduce my guest to my left. His name is CJ Gross, and he is the relationship engineer. I know everyone's wondering. I know people are asking me, well, what does he do? What is a relationship engineer? And I'll let him explain that in a minute. But first, I want to say thank you so much for coming to Conversations and having this conversation with me. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kendell, for having me here. I really appreciate it. I think the show is going to be wonderful. I'm excited about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I'm excited to have you here to talk to the people. So say hello to everyone. They can see you and hear you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, I want to, you know, guys, if you don't know by now from the last show, and you'll see, I like to do my research. So I just wanted to read, I just jotted down some things. In my upcoming book, I have a book coming out about living your best life. I speak about working at the job you love. And I say, if not, what's the point? Well, I say at a job you hate. Money is one thing, but happiness is really another. They don't always equate to the same thing. You have to decide what's more important. So, CJ, what's more important to you?
Well, you know, money is a baseline for most people. I mean, that's just the bare minimum to go to work. Most people would not work unless they had money. But for me, it's the intrinsic income, the psychic income. And many people talk about it.
Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So the psychic income or intrinsic income is basically what you get when you go to work, and it has nothing to do with money. It's the feeling that you have, you know, for work. It's so yes,
okay.
Yes. It's almost like, you know, breathing. It makes you feel great. It gives you energy, makes you want to get up and go to work in the morning on a Monday.
Okay.
You know, or stay late or work, you know, 15, 20 hours, you know, in one day. Some people don't even go to sleep because they're working on their dream or they're working on their vision.
So that might be LaToya over there. She said she had a long day today, so she must love her job.
Yeah, I mean, okay. If you think about it, you think about how much time a person will spend at work,
okay,
know, or engaged in work activities. That's including driving. Yeah. That's including going to work. So you're talking about minimum 12 hours a day on the average for the average person.
More time did you spend with your family and your loved ones?
Exactly.
You spend with your work family.
You really need to take a look at it and see if this is something that, you know, makes your heart, you know, move, you know. And if it isn't, then it's something that, you know, you really want to start to assess, because it's really about lifestyle. It's not about income. It's about lifestyle. And when you create the lifestyle, income works out anyway.
What do you mean by that?
So, for example, I remember working a job that not only did I hate the job, but it made me feel a certain way on the inside. And then I didn't feel like I was being my best. And
right.
When I left the job, I didn't feel like I was proud to say this is where I work and what I do. I was making money
right.
and paying my bills, but I wasn't proud about it.
And some jobs don't make you, they don't lend themselves to you being the best you or doing
right.
the best, because sometimes they want to put that in a box because they don't want you to outsmart the supervisor or the boss.
Exactly.
So they kind of contain you where they want to, you know, want you to be.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So, I mean, yeah, so that's basically it. So, you know, when I look back at some of the jobs that I had one particular job, I won't mention that particular company, but I was in the field of engineering.
Okay.
And after I took multiple personality assessments, I realized that I was actually in the very opposite job that I was supposed to be in.
Okay, can you explain to the people what a personality assessment is for those that don't know?
So there's personality assessments and temperament assessments. I took a little bit of both. Personality is your disposition, like you smile a lot, you're happy, you're friendly. Temperament is your innate psychological blueprint. So it's a way when people say I was born to do something,
yeah.
that's what temperament is. And it's very powerful if you can get a temperament assessment and a personality assessment. And then we talked about design.
Okay.
So once I realized that I was in a total opposite field, the question was, how do I transition? How do I use those skills and transfer those skills into doing something different that was going to make my heart sing?
Right.
Yeah. So
and that's a beautiful feeling when you can work in your passion.
Yep.
That's why we call this passion employment, because it's really important. They say, and I don't have the statistics with me, but I heard these statistics before, and they were very startling. They said most suicides happen on Monday morning. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard that. I heard Les Brown say that.
Yeah.
And
heart attacks.
Yeah, because a lot of people on Friday, I remember I had a job before, corporate America. I remember on Friday, before I would leave work, I would be thinking about coming to work Monday. Yep. And I would get anxiety. I mean, my head would hurt. I mean, it would be where I really had to get myself together to go. Now, on most jobs, you think Friday, you think about the weekend. Oh, yeah. But not if you hate your job.
Yeah, because Friday, I mean, 2 days out of the week is too short to alleviate yourself from the drama of a bad job with a bad boss. If you couple those two together, now you talk, and I had that situation.
That's a lethal duel.
Yeah, I had a job that, I mean, I literally hated the job, but I hated everything associated with the job. I hated the staplers, the paper, the desk that I had to sit at, and I really wasn't doing a good job either. And that's the other thing you have to think about, being productive in terms of what you give, with the energy that you give to a job, and what is it giving you back? Because if it's just income, then it becomes a ball and chain.
That's right.
And so for most people, like you said,
that sounds like a relationship almost.
Yeah.
If it's not giving you what you want, it becomes like a ball and chain.
It becomes a ball and chain. And most people trying to figure out how to get the ball and chain off.
Right.
And so it's very important to find out what your passion is, what your life's work is.
I firmly believe that.
And then try to figure out, because I think most people, if you were to ask them, if money wasn't an issue, and that's, you usually have to put that in front of the question. If money wasn't an issue, then what would you be doing?
Right.
And usually that's somewhere around their passion.
Right. And that's what I say. I say if you can do anything for free, what would you do? And that's a good way to discover your passion, because I talk to people all the time in life coaching and Facebook and people I know, people I don't know. And a lot of people say they don't know what their passion is. They don't know what their purpose is. How do you find your purpose, and how do you find your passion? And that's exactly what I always say. If you can think of anything that you wanted to do and it had nothing to do with money, and you can do it all day for free. Now, you want to get paid because we have to live, and that's just this thing called life. You need money in order to, you know why you need money. But but if money was not in the equation, what would you do? Like what you said, what makes your heart sing? What makes you happy? What makes your soul bubble up when you know you're getting ready to do that? And unfortunately, I know there are probably a handful of you guys that work in your passion. But the majority of Americans do not work in their passion. So that means you're spending 12 hours a day or more.
Most people more.
Right, at a job that you hate. Away, sacrificing your family time, sacrificing your mental clarity, sacrificing, and a lot of exactly, and a lot of jobs stifle you because we were raised not to live in your passion, not to do what you want to do, but how much money does this job make? And most people go to college to look to see, okay, I want to be this because they make X amount of money. Right. And now with the internet, exactly. And now with the internet, you go on salary.com and you can pretty much say, okay, I want to do this. But then I think that's terrible because you're not living in your passion. You're not walking in what you were called to do. So this is getting good. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But I just want to take it back a bit. Before we go into the title of the book, before we talk about your book, before we talk about what a relationship engineer is, I just want to ask a little bit about you. So where are you from?
So I grew up in Prince George's County,
in
Fort Washington, Maryland, right where the National Harbor is.
Okay.
Actually in the back of the National Harbor.
But before the National Harbor was there.
Before the National Harbor.
Right.
Where the National Harbor is, I used to ride my motorcycle through the woods there, so right before it was built. And so I grew up in Prince George's County, and then I moved to Reisterstown, Maryland, about 3 years ago.
Shout out to Reisterstown. I love Reisterstown. Our town. Okay. So it's clear that you have, just by talking to you, have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Oh, yes.
You have that in you. Have you always had that, or is this something new for you?
That's a great question. I've always had it, but I didn't listen to it. Right. And so
how many of you can relate to that?
Right, and that's like the most important thing because people.
I always say that's God talking to you.
Yeah, and when you don't listen, and you have a harder way to go, and when you chase the money opposed to the opportunity, that's when you find yourself in a situation where you're always fearful. You're always fearful of losing your job, fearful of not having enough money. But when you work in your passion, it's not. It's like money is just a byproduct of what it is you do, and that's like one of the most important things that I would tell someone if they're trying to figure out what it is they really want to do.
So tell them.
Well, if you're trying to figure out what you really want to do, I would definitely say, take money out of the equation and really focus on what makes your heart sing.
I know that sounds crazy, take money out of the equation, but he's right. He's not saying be homeless, live on the street, don't have, and I mean, sometimes sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it is. Like Tyler Perry, he said, look how much money Tyler Perry has. And he said that he was homeless because he invested all the money. I remember in the first plays where they used to be $15. Now they're about $100 a ticket. Right. But anyway, that it would be an audience of like 4 people.
Yep. He was spending all his money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, sometimes it does take that, but go ahead and continue.
So, and so basically, and one of the things that's most important to think about when you think about money and how much money consumes our minds and what we do and what we take action on, when you are stressed and when you don't like your life, you spend money, the extra money that you actually have, on trying to fulfill that internal need.
That's so true.
And that's where so if you take money out of the equation, you'll seem to have more money because you won't need as much external things.
Right.
Yeah, you won't need that extra fancy car. And if you do, then you should be able to get it, working your dream, because every dream can be turned into a business.
That's true. That's so very true. You're talking nothing but the truth right now. That's very true. You have to know, because we all have gifts. We all have something that we can do extremely well. I mean, think about it. I know a lot of people, and I hear it all the time, well, there's nothing I can do well, or I don't know. And this is how I say, if you don't know and you can't figure it out, ask the people who know you. Ask the people who love you. Hey, what do I do well? What do you think I do well? Right. And sometimes they can answer for you, like, you draw really well, or you're very creative, the way you make those clothes, or you're very business-minded, or whatever it is. Right. And some people can tell you, because with gifts, we take them for granted sometimes, and we don't realize we have them. Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you the only one in your family that has this entrepreneurial gift?
No, I have several cousins that are entrepreneurs, but I didn't grow up around them, and that was a part of it. When you're not exposed, I was at a workshop once, and a guy said, if you can't see it, you can't be it.
That's
and
right.
so a lot of times, I grew up with individuals that were, pretty much like government employees and go to work 9 to 5
and retire from that, and it's
yeah.
called that good job. Like got that good government job.
Yeah. And I had several of them, but it didn't fulfill me. And so I had to find that once I got around other entrepreneurs and people that were speaking my language, then something started to occur. But it's important to find your path as soon as possible, because if not, you go off the path.
Yeah, and people are probably like, that boy had a government job and he quit. He had that good government job and quit.
Several
because so many people, I mean, I talk to people every day. If I can get that government job, I'll be all right. And most people think that is the promised land. Once you get that government job, you are set. But if material things are the things that are most important to you, then you will be set. You know what I mean? But in that state. But then after all the material things are bought, purchased, then what?
Right.
Are you sitting at home happy?
Right.
Or are you stressed but you're making the money?
Right.
You got to weigh that.
And that's the thing that people have to really come to grips with, especially if they spend, most of their time, just thinking about what it is that they actually want to do. Even that's how you know when you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
When you spend 50% or more daydreaming about doing something else.
About what you really want to do.
Doing your actual job. Now, there's some people that the government, federal or local government, is perfect for them.
Yeah.
And they do well there because as an entrepreneur, so you have to link up with someone that has the stability too as well. True. So, you got to find the right path for you. Okay.
And I wanted to get back to something that you said earlier. You said you ignored it.
Yes.
So were you a child when you ignored it, or when did you start really saying, I think I might want to do this thing on my own? Because that's scary.
It is scary, but for my personality and temperament, it's what
that you learned from your personality test.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like I had to read something about myself to
recognize,
to affirm me.
Okay.
Right. So when I was younger, I just saw my mom and my dad go to work, government jobs, and I remember being outside of my mom's job one day, and almost just feeling depressed being close to that situation. And I said to myself,
when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I was probably 12 years old, and I said to myself, I will never work in a government or a office building. Office building like a regular 9 to 5. I remember saying that at 12.
Wow.
But I ignored it because I didn't see
it wasn't the norm.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the norm and everything else. So we can have dreams, and unless you have someone to foster those dreams,
so true,
and support you. Emotionally, physically, mentally, all those other things, then it is so easy to kind of follow the pack and and do what they do.
That's true.
That's unfortunately what I did for many years.
But that's why I think it's very important to nourish and instill in your kids just that. If not so much, because kids see what you do. Right. Kids see how you live and how you react and how you act. And the job that where you work, where you go every day, you get up and you go to work and then you come home and you're grumpy and you know what I mean? They see that. And some people think that's just a way of life until someone like you, they meet somebody like you or meet somebody like, me. I'm like Jamaican. I'm like, I do this, I do that. Because, I have a lot of passions. And that's really important because I've heard people say, well, I had one. Like, you don't have to. You just have to kind of rein them all in and let them kind of work together. But I think that's really interesting. At 12 years old, like, you really can see that. Wow.
And the other thing, too, is quickly that I was a entrepreneur, at birth. And so when I came out, I was always trying to figure out how to make money.
Wow.
So I would wash cars, rake leaves. Anyone that asked me to do something.
You sound like my brother.
Yeah, you would figure it out. I would pick up cans and take them to the A&P and all those other things. Yeah. And then I started out like wanting to, design T-shirts and all those things. Yeah. But when you get to a certain place, it's like if there's nothing to support you, then you'll kind of go along the other path.
That's very true. And that's why I say it's important to stay away from dream killers or people that don't know how to nourish your gift or don't know how to support you. Right, because they don't know how to support that entrepreneurial spirit. They don't know how to even, like, if you tell them something or you say you want to do something, they might say, that good government, you wait a minute, hold up. You got benefits, you got a 401k, you're going to leave that good job to do something that you don't believe in. But that's called faith.
That's right.
You have to take that leap of faith to do that. So how was it, I just want to know what the conversation was like with yourself. Because Are you an entrepreneur now? Do you do that full time?
Yes.
Okay. How long ago has it been since you left your job? Your good job.
Yeah, my good job. Probably about 7 or 8 months.
Okay, 7 or 8 months.
This go round.
Right, right. And tell them why, because sometimes it takes.
So what's interesting is I had a job. I had a pretty good job. I made the most I've ever made in my life at one job in a year. Wow. And I still was not happy.
Right.
You know, I was very unfulfilled, actually. I was spiritually depleted. And I asked myself, and this is I think the deciding factor when I just said, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to figure out a way. Okay. Even if I have to sleep in my car.
Right, right.
So I said.
So you already decided if it went there, you would do that.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have to think about.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone doesn't have to do that. You may have to sleep on someone's couch.
Right.
It may put you in a position that your lifestyle may change for a period of time. But I did enough interviews with other entrepreneurs, and I found that they had to go through, it's like a rites of passage. It's a threshold to success. Right. So once I figured out that that's what I wanted to do, I asked myself the final question was, do I believe that I could be who God wants me to be here? Wow. Yeah, that was the defining question. And at first I didn't want to really hear it because I saw the money, I saw the benefits, I saw, like this is.
That's deep. That's deep. Yeah. That's deep. And I tell you a quick story. I was at this job when you know how, okay, my job moved. So I had to get a meantime job, meaning I have children, I need to survive. They were moving to West Virginia. I wasn't going. Right. Okay. So I took this job. The whole atmosphere was not conducive to a person with morals, a person that, has that God foundation. I mean, it was all kind of stuff going on there, and it was around you. And I made good money doing that, but I knew this isn't it. Right. I could just feel it in my spirit. I really knew that it wasn't it. But because I had the money, I had my divorced, had a children that I had to take care of, I stayed. But God knew that wasn't the place for me. When I tell you, and I kid you not, I showed up early. I left late. Another girl and we were both hired for the same position. Okay, so this girl was late all the time. You could never find her. She was always in the bathroom or always here. You could never find her. I would do my work and hers. I was really working at that job. Because, some jobs you don't work. Right, yeah. I was really working. So make a long, you like those better. He said he likes a job. You don't really have to work. But I'll just real quick. So I go into the office. And Maryland, for those of you that are not in Maryland, you're at will state. Meaning they can fire you at any time. They don't have to give you an explanation. They don't have to give you a reason. My kids are in here right now. They don't even know this. And I walked into the office, and she said, I'm going to have to let you go. We hired both of you, but only one can stay. So, right. They fired the worker, but this is the thing. If you're not compromising, if you show that you have a little bit more intelligence, or if you show that, I don't want to say you're better than that job, but you show that you may be able to move up in that job, sometimes that's a threat. Yeah. Exactly. And I remember when I sat there and I got fired. And I remember I sat there and I looked at her and I said, thank you so much. I said, you have an amazing week. And I left. And I swear to you, I did not feel sad. I did not cry. I was not angry. I left out of there. And because I wasn't going to leave, God had to push me out of there. Yeah. And sometimes you have to be pushed to do something that you don't want, because that safe little nook that you're in, that nest, you're not going to leave. And I remember leaving, and the girl that got hired with me was like, oh, yeah, that's not right. You do, how did they do that? How did she say? And she was really upset. I said, are you, but look, I said, right, I didn't even think about that. And I said, are you upset enough to go in there and tell her that it wasn't right and I'm the one doing most of the work and you're not? I did. Yeah. And she said, mm-mm. But then that was a whole thing, too, with the there weren't that many African Americans there. I'll just say that. And then the other girl was not African American. I'll say that. Right. And, you know, everybody says, oh, the race card. I think that had a little bit to do with it. And it was okay with me because she might still be there now all these years later. I've moved on. Right. You get what I'm saying? So I left, and I just knew I had the feeling that God had my back. Like I wasn't worried. So did you feel that way when you decided to really say 7-8 months ago, I'm leaving my job?
Once I said it and I committed to it, fear came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear came in.
Because the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, fear of the unknown. But what I did was I typed my resignation up, and I carried it with me, and I had a date on there. And to me, that was the do not exceed date, right? So I had the do not exceed. You can
tell he's a life coach, y'all. And I'm sorry, and I didn't say all that he does. I want to interject because I was so excited in the beginning. This man is a published author of multiple books. He is a life coach. He is the relationship engineer. We'll get to that. I'm so thankful that he's doing my little conversation show because he's on the news. He's on network television. So I'm really thankful that he came to do Conversations. But I know I'm moving around here, but I just wanted to say, like, what he said, and is talking about setting goals. And as a life coach, that's what we teach. When you set goals, you have to have a date there. Because if you don't have a date, then what?
Well, then it's very hard to move forward. You don't have anything a reference point. You know, so if you say, I'm going to do something, like a lot of people say, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to do whatever, and there's no date, and it just becomes a dream, you know, that people kind of talk about, opposed to more of something that's tangible. Yeah. So, yeah, that's important.
It's very important.
And it also it makes you accountable and the reality. So once I put that date out there, I was like, oh, man. Because I knew I had to do it because I couldn't look in the other people's faces and press them about their goals. Right. If I wasn't willing to
you had to practice what you preached. Yeah. Did you have a self-contract? So that was like that self-contract. Yeah. And I'll explain that probably in one of the other shows. And I promise you, I'm not trying to plug my book, but I think this is very important because I have a chapter on this. Because my book is about living your best life. I mean, and it's a lot of different chapters on a lot of different things, but this is one part. He's probably the only one that even seen a piece of that book. And I just thought about that. You really are. It's not out yet, but I think I showed you because
it's very well written. Very well written.
Thank you. And I trust it because he does what I do. He's helped me in what I do. So I really do trust your judgment. So I wanted to share it with somebody at first because you can't share it always with dream killers or with everyone because they might not see your vision. I don't want a yes person, but I want encouragement or I want to know that I'm going on the right path. So continue. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So once I did that, it was pretty much, I knew I had to do it because my spirit was dying on the inside. That's how you know when it's really time to leave your job. You know, some people have a little bit more time, but for me, I just knew without a shadow of a doubt. And then this is the other thing. I've been on several jobs, and people at my job would say, why are you working here? You know, that's when you know it's time to go. You know, they would say, I had one job. Wow. And the guy told me, so it was a customer. Yeah. Many customers, my last 2 jobs, many customers saw, they saw a gift. I would go to a job, and this is the other thing about a job, I would try to hide my gift. I would try to hide my...
Didn't I just talked about that last week on this show.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do too. It's crazy.
Because if people see this is the thought process. If people see your greatness, then there's a fear that people will feel that you are, bigger than the job and all this, which is true. But who are we to, play small? Who are we to just, not be as great as we are? And so once that came about and I knew that there was no way that I can continue to kind of like live in the shadows of my greatness and watch everyone else.
Wow. That like something just ran through me when you said that. That is so true. And it's so hard to teach people that. It's so hard to get people to recognize their greatness.
Yeah. One of the things that for me stuck out was that Tony Robbins says pain is your greatest motivator, right? Right. The pain, and I had a guy ask me, I hired a coach, and he said, this is what he said, is this the life you want to live? Right? He asked me some really hard questions, And he's like, he stuck it in there and turned it. And so for me, it was the battle. And here was my battle. So I'm a single parent. Right, I raised 2 teenage daughters.
I'm glad you brought. I was going to bring that. No, go. I was going to bring that up. Good. Yeah. No, that's good.
Because some people are sitting there and they have, they have a spouse and they make decent money. All they need to do is get rid of one car and cut the cable off, and they can make it work.
Right.
So
right.
That wasn't my case. Right. My case was I have two teenage daughters that depended on me, and I'm in a new environment. I don't have a lot of like family support and all that. But I said, this is what it's about. When Moses was like, I can't lead these people, but God said, trust me, and then I said, well, what about health insurance? How am I going to pay my health insurance? I was able to keep the same insurance. Right, so I still go to Kaiser and get my checkups and all that good stuff, right?
That's good. Yeah, you gotta have some insurance.
But see, the difference between belief and faith is belief is what you can see. You've seen that paycheck every 2 weeks. You know what it's going to be, right? And you feel comfortable in that. But when it comes to faith is I don't know.
Right.
I just know I see it in my mind's eye and in my heart. But I don't know. Right. And it's like once you get out there and the wind starts blowing and the tumbleweeds start flying,
right.
People start putting shutters down.
Right.
Your phone, your cell go off.
Right.
You don't have no cable. I tell the kids that we don't have cable no more. They was like, oh, okay. So you think all of these things that we create for us. And my daughter's like, we don't need cable anyway. We can go to the library.
That's right. That's right.
And now they read more books and all those other things. And so what you'll find out is that when you walk across the threshold of into faith, is that things will be provided for you, but not until you take the walk.
Yes. That's so so true, because we're trying to give ourselves excuses on why we can't do this. Right. And the cable, I got to do this, I got to do that. But when you're walking in your purpose, when you're doing what you're called to do, it opens up, because that's what you've been waiting for. Yep. That's what God is waiting for us to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, how beautiful is that your daughters get to witness that. And they don't, it's not even something that you said, okay, sit down, girls. Let me tell you how to, you didn't life coach them. Right. You know what I mean?
I did try to life coach.
Right. I did too. I did too with my oldest daughter. I'm still her life coach when she wants to, listen to that part of me. But just how awesome is that to show them that and to show because the thing about faith, people want you to define faith and what faith is. And you can define it, but then until you actually take that leap and to do it, then you become like, this is really faith. I know it. I feel it. Because it's different to say.
It's an action.
Exactly.
It's like what people say love is.
Exactly.
It's an action. And until you do it, it's like, you got people that write books on and all that stuff, and they're sitting in a comfortable situation. But not until you go through the valley do you know how strong you are either. Yeah. And you develop your wings just like a butterfly. Ooh, yes, you do. You really, like, I feel like this is like the male version of me. Like, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror and the people, and the people that, he used to have locks too, y'all, but he cut them because that's too weird. But it's like some of the stuff that he's saying, I'm sure people out there, if you know me, you've heard me say that. And it's so, so very true. That's kind of scary that you like that male. Well, that's why we connected because of that. And when you step out on your faith, like minds will start to gravitate towards you.
And I just want to say, and I've said this to him before, but he heard me speak one time, and he came up to me and asked, "Are you a coach? Are you a motivational speaker?" And I said, it's so funny that you said that, because I've been doing life coaching for many, many years. I made it official about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, but I've been doing it for years. I decided you were kind of a big encourager.
Right, to get you up,
but he laughed because it was so funny, because I'm the type of person, if I know what I need to do, I'm going to do it like this. Right. And you can attest to that, because he was like, do you have your website up? And I was like, I'm getting that done. I did my website. I did my own website. I did it like the next day. So if you go to livingtruelivingyou.com, you'll see. I did that going on 2 years now, almost. But and then you were like, do you do this? He was giving me my checklist, because he is a life coach. He's been doing this. I just want to show one of his books real quick, Seeds of Greatness. and I'll explain to you how you get that a little later. But I don't know if anybody has heard of Willie Jolly, but he's big. Like, and then with CJ, a lot of people that are encouragers, inspirers, business people, entrepreneurs, you're connected with them. So tell me how Willie Jolly came about, forwarding this book, because that's big. It's really big. And if you don't know who Willie Jolly is, go to YouTube or Google him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he was or is Les Brown's mentee.
And that's my favorite person. I love me some Les Brown. You'll come in anytime and you hear. You came into my office and I had Les Brown on.
He's the man. Yeah. So basically, I started out, I was actually at my mom's house one day watching the television, never heard of Willie Jolly, didn't even know what a motivational speaker was, kind of depressed with the life situation I was in. And he came on television, he told his story, and when he told his story, it motivated me. And so as I was motivated, I said, man, this is, I want to do this. I want to do what he does. And so I went through the process, and eventually I met him a couple of times, but it was like every time I met him, he didn't know who I was, right? So
each time you met him?
So what I did was I got his audio programs, I got his stuff, and in his information, motivational tape it was about speaking tips. He said, well, you got to think about what that person wants. Every motivational speaker wants publicity. So I was able to hijack, in a sense, a radio show on WOL.
Not this one.
Not this one.
Okay.
I was able to hijack a radio show, and I called his office, and I said, I would like to know if Mr. Jolly would like to be on a radio show. And, of course, he called me back like that, from not knowing me to calling me right back.
Right.
And while he was on the show, I did a great introduction for him, and I was motivated. I was excited. And at the end, I said, we're going to work together soon. He's like, yes, we are. A day later, I called him and I said, can you do the foreword for my book? He said, I sure will.
See? But if you didn't know your greatness and you didn't know that you had something to offer and it was big and you were walking in your gift and really recognizing it, that wouldn't have happened.
That's true.
Because you would not have had that confidence. You would have not had that. You wouldn't even be. You would be at that government job.
I'd be at the good government
You wouldn't
job.
have been at that radio station.
Waiting for my raise.
Right.
For my 25-cent raise, right?
And your 2 weeks vacation.
Oh, yeah.
But that's, like I said, Willie Jolly is big. And CJ, I'll say it again. I'm just grateful to have you on here because he's doing big things, y'all. He really, really is. So to take the time out, I greatly appreciate that. Okay. So I know a lot of people are saying, well, what is a relationship engineer? What is that? So if you want to explain this relationship engineer business.
So sure. So basically, the relationship engineer, or what I do, is I engineer relationships to create a specific outcome. Just very similar to any engineering situation, whether you're engineering, chemicals or mechanics or electricity. This is relationships. So there's an outcome that people want to get, and most of the time I'm doing this engineering in companies. People have what they call difficult people. So I'm just engineering those relationships to create a certain outcome to increase the productivity of the company.
See, that's good. He's an entrepreneur. Okay, he's on his own for the last 7-8 months. He's walking in his purpose.
Definitely.
He has passion for what he does.
Yes.
And he's working. Okay, let me just explain for those of you that missed that. The reason why I'm getting to this, corporate America is working for you. Right. They're hiring you. Right. So you went from working in corporate America to now them hiring you as your own entity. CJ Gross, the relationship engineer.
Yes.
So, do you love it?
I think love is an understatement. I don't know.
Wow, you're excited?
Yeah, I can, and I have done it. I've done like multiple workshops and trainings and drive, miles. So, working maybe 15 hours a day, including travel, getting up early. I don't like to get up early, especially for a regular job, but I would get up early. I would get up at 4 o'clock, drive down to somewhere in Virginia to do my workshop, then come back up to Baltimore, do a workshop, and maybe in D.C. So for me...
I told you he's busy, y'all.
It's beyond to me, it's beyond happiness and joy.
Wow.
Sometimes I can't sleep after I do a workshop because I can't believe this is.
Wow.
This is. I kind of giggle at night sometimes when nobody's around. When I look at the check and it's like, I just can't believe they paid me. I would have did this for free.
Right.
I know that, right?
Oh, you better. I hope they're not watching. He's just joking.
Yeah,
but no, he's just serious. But that's really what it is. That's what it is, walking in your purpose, living in your purpose. And this is the thing about doing what you love. And I'll ask this question again. What would you do with your life if no one paid you to do it? What are you good at? What do people tell you you're good at? And I think a lot of times people are scared to venture out there on their own because they want the insurance, they want the 401k, they want the security of a job, they want somebody tell them, okay, you can take this day off and that day off, come in at 9, leave at 5, come in at 9, leave at 9. Some people are regimented that way.
Yes.
That it's almost like they're almost like robots.
Right.
And if someone changes up something just a little bit, they would fall apart. I'm big on quotes. And I really want to read this to you guys because this is the thing. You are as great as you know you are. You have to own that. You have to know that, and you have to really accept that. You have to know that there is no one out there better than you or more equipped than you. You have to really believe it because if you don't believe it, I don't want to sound cliche, but you won't achieve it. Right. You really, really won't. And one of my favorite authors, writers, poets is Marianne Williamson. And you might not know her name, but when I start to read this piece, you'll know it. And if you've seen Akilah and the Bee, the movie, they talk about it and they say, Lawrence Fishburne says a piece of it. But I want to read it. Our deepest fear is that we are Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I? Who am I to be brilliant? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world, as CJ said earlier. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking yourself so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make... I can't even read, I'm sorry. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's the same thing that you were talking about. Like, that's it in a nutshell. Although my reading was choppy, I'm sorry, my hand was shaking, so apology. But if you don't know it or if you couldn't make it out, just Google Marianne Williamson. She's excellent. And when she says that, that is so powerful to me because a lot of people do dim their shine. Oh, yeah. And like in all of my emails that I send out, and I always tell people this, don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Right. And people do it all the time. And I tell that to children especially. Because people do. Because if their personality is big, if they're talking too much, if they're answering too many questions, if they're, you know what I mean? They kind of fall back in the background. But if you teach children now, then they'll grow up to be amazing adults.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a workshop that I do called Personal Power Through Congruency. I just did it again. It's also going to be an audio program. And in there, I talk about cultural impedance. So it's just that when your culture can impede your growth, especially exponentially, we think of growth as linear. So if we want to make more money or we want to lose weight or whatever, that's linear. But exponentially means I grow in multiple areas and I multiply. So 1 + 1 isn't 1; it's like 11, or continue to grow.
That's so true. And you said you do the workshops?
Yeah, Personal Power Through Congruency.
Okay. Okay. You want to, since we are talking about your workshops, you want to shout out some of your workshops and just tell the people what you do and what type of workshops?
Sure.
So
I do all types of workshops, I guess to say. And so
all topics and areas, I should say.
So I definitely focus on social emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Certified life coach in that area.
Okay.
So I do a lot of emotional intelligence training in corporations, nonprofit organizations, churches, government agencies, jails, and even churches as well. Different religious institutions, and also individual coaching, leadership, dealing with difficult people, coaching for peak performance. So anything having to do with either relationships or getting your staff to move, leadership, and how to get them to move in the right direction and not use the carrot and stick mode is what we're used to.
Okay. And what's the carrot and stick mode?
Carrot and stick means basically that's how a lot of people operate. So that means the carrot is, if I wave some dollars out here for you, then you want to go and I'll work harder for you. You can get my hands. Sometimes you can get my head, but you can't have my heart. So that's the carrot. And the stick is when you don't do it, then you get reprimanded. So the carrot and stick mode is basically how a lot of companies operate. So when I come in, the goal is how do we get people to want to do this? How do we get people emotionally connected to their work? Most people want to be. That's the new way. But all companies haven't made that transition yet. Okay, so
are you loving this? Is this your dream?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't believe.
Like,
sometimes,
how cool is this? Really?
It's super cool. I was actually, before I came here, I was laying in my bed and I was just thinking, like, wow, God, you've blessed me. But it's always out there for everyone. We just have to walk through the door. And the question is always, if I jump out the airplane, will I fly?
Right.
Well, you won't know unless you jump out.
That's right. That's right. And if you survive, then you're gonna do what you're called to do.
You can write a book and tell everyone about it, right?
Right. And then exactly.
And if you don't, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. And I mean, I think that is so key to this whole conversation. Passion, employment. Are you living in your passion? Are you working in your passion? Are you doing what you were called to do? Are you doing what you're good at? Because a lot of people are at jobs just to get money, and they're not even good at it.
That's the worst.
Yeah, they're not good. Everybody has that person at their job that
was me.
You don't know.
That was me.
How to right?
I was the person. I was a socialite. I was a social butterfly.
You were around trying to coach people.
Yeah, I was around talking. That's exactly what I was doing. And one of the things that indicated that I was doing the right thing, but I was in the wrong place. Right. I was working for an engineering firm, a very large international engineering firm, and I would win awards. And every single award that I won, they gave us money for it. Right. That's carrot and stick.
Right.
And every single award had everything to do with people and how to negotiate relationships.
I'm telling you, you were like the male me, like all the time. It's so. That's when you know.
Yep.
And it's like you can't say, if you're that person that says, "Oh, I'm too big for this job," then what type of person do you look like?
Right.
So you can't really talk to anybody. You can't really say that at your job, or you can't say that to some people. They're like, "Who do you think you are?
Right.
What do you mean you're too big?"
Right.
They think it's conceit, or they think, "Oh, you're just being, vain," and they can't. But it's really not that.
Right.
It really is you knowing yourself and you knowing your worth.
That's it.
And when you know your worth and what your worth to others and to the world and to what you really are called to do, then no one can take that from you. Mm-hmm. You have to really know that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that. Mm-hmm. So as life coaches, we kind of teach that.
Right.
But that starts from the beginning. Sometimes you have to rip out everything that they were taught and kind of change your words.
Yeah, you got to pull those layers back. And that's why I wrote the book, Seeds of Greatness, 15 Seeds to Plant for Harvesting Your Greatness, which was a coaching book, for people that wanted to figure out how. And then I also reference a lot of the books that I read that helped me develop and grow. Okay, and it's important. I really say, and Les Brown said this one time, and I'm just paraphrasing it, and I feel the same way. And when I heard him say it, I'm like, that's what I say all the time. But you really have to invest in yourself. You really do. If you can take a class that can motivate you, one of CJ's workshops, if you want to listen to motivational speeches, go to TED Talk or go to YouTube, or when you see a motivational speaker come, I've seen Iyanla like 99 times. I like a lot of people, and you can invest that. You spend the money in that. If the next concert comes out, you're going to the concert. Yep. Or if someone asks to borrow money and you have it, you're giving it. Mm-hmm. But then you say you don't have money to invest in yourself. And I think that's very interesting. Anything that can make you better and just make you love yourself, even just reading whatever religion you are, reading that word. Yes. Just to know whose you are.
Because when you know whose you are, you know what you're worth.
That's right.
But if you don't know whose you are and who you are, that's a mess.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And a lot of people don't know that. And just you just being an example and you just walking in your greatness, that's just awesome to me. Because I remember when you quit your job.
Yeah.
This one.
Right, this one. Right.
Yeah, I remember when you quit your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is scary.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what it does is it a lot of times by, you know, and not to say that everyone should be working for themselves. Definitely
Right.
a lot of opportunities.
Because everybody doesn't want that.
Yeah, not everyone wants it, and not everyone also. Some people can find their passion in their job. But I think, and sometimes it's just about transitioning from one job to another job.
Right. Or the position in that job.
Or applying for a new job, or applying for a new position.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the situation where the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, and in order for that caterpillar to, you know, develop, it has to go through a metamorphosis. But even that is not enough. The wings become stronger when it bursts out into fly. So without going through that process and pushing against, you know, the oppositions that you may have, you know, in making your transition, you don't become strong enough to know who you are.
That's right. And then that's so true, and that's a great analogy. I'm sure there are a lot of caterpillars out there, a lot of people that know their butterfly,
green ones.
Right, short ones, long ones, slimy ones. But you know within, I know you know within that you're a butterfly, waiting to fly. Yep. You need someone to nurture that. You need someone to help you hone in to whatever your talent is or whatever your gift is, or you just need someone's support. Right. It could be that simple. They might not get it. They may not understand what you want to do or what you're trying to do, but just having that support. Yeah. And just because, and I will say this, and I say this all the time, get away from all the dream killers. Every time you bring up something to them that you want to do it, or this is something that you've been thinking about, or you say, well, I was just thinking about, I want to write a book. What do you mean write a book? I don't know nobody that wrote a book. Right. Or do you even know how to write? Right. You know what I mean? Or just whatever it is. Yeah. And you can pick up a pen, you can type, you can do, if you have thoughts and you have that desire and you pray about that thing first, the words will flow right through you. So whatever it is that you want to do, you can. Now, we're not encouraging, for all you bosses out there, we're not encouraging all your employees to Monday morning turn in their resignation. Right. That's not what we're trying to do. Or we're not promoting homelessness, you know. But we're saying this might be speaking to someone right now.
Oh, it's speaking to somebody.
Right, somebody that thought about quitting their job, or someone that's following their passion. Yeah. Because I see people all the time that have beautiful gifts. Yeah. And they don't use them, or they don't know how to channel them. Right.
And I think it's important for the work that you're doing, you know, even this show, to spotlight people that are, you know, doing specific things and your gift and your talent for motivating people and coaching people. It's important because a lot of times, you know, like Les Brown said, he says many of us are standing at the corner, you know, at a busy highway waiting for someone else to help us cross the street. And that's what we do. We help people cross the street. So that's what the show is about. That's what the books are about. And, you know, that's part of our path. But there's other people, they may want to go to school for engineering. That's right. And they're in a totally different field. Right. You know.
Right, because there are a lot of people, even when you think about, like what I was saying earlier, when people go to college and all their whole family is telling them they should do this instead of that, then they go into this job. And now you never followed your heart. You never followed your own mind. You allowed someone else to kind of steer you. And now you're sitting in a job that you hate. You're unhappy at the world. You're mad at everybody. You're kicking the dog. You know, you're screaming and hollering at your children because you're miserable. Yep. Within the minute you set yourself free from whatever it is, the whole world opens up. It's really, really true. When you're doing what you love to do. So I just wanted to, real quick before we end this, first I wanted to thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's a live format, so sometimes we're all over. I just wanted it to be organic. Yep. I just wanted you to be comfortable and relaxed. Did you enjoy yourself today?
I'm not Business Bob today.
No, he's not. I call him Business Bob. And that's nothing wrong with that.
No, yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that because you're getting your business done,
yeah,
okay?
Yeah. Business model to make money.
Right,
So,
exactly. But are you happy that you came?
Oh, I'm extremely happy. You know, every time you talk about your gift, your dream, whatever it is you want, it's like you're a vessel. And so in order for you to get more, you have to give more. And this is just the opportunity to give.
That's right. But he's not giving away these books. So these you have to purchase. This one is How to Get a Job in 90 Days. Briefly, because we're running out of time, just what is this book about?
It's about becoming a job magnet. And basically, it's not really a job. It's really talking about your passion. The trick is to say job because that's what people associate with. But it's really about trying to find your passion and linking it up to a job, and if not, linking it up to a business.
Okay.
In 7 steps.
Okay, in 7 steps. All
Very
right.
short read there.
Okay, short read here. So Seeds of Greatness and How to Get a Job in 90 Days. And you tell the people how they can connect with you.
Well, you can connect with me via my website, www.therelationshipengineer.com. That's www.therelationshipengineer.com.
Okay, so I just want to close with this. To work your dream job is truly a dream. And it's a dream come true. This is the thing about your dreams. They have to be pursued. You have to put in the work to achieve what you want out of life. That's just the bottom line. It takes a lot of faith to leave your job and to pursue the unknown, especially when you have a family. And like he said, he has 2 daughters. So it's very difficult because you're not the only one you're thinking about. They say go hard or go home. I always say go hard or just stay home. Don't even come out, you know, because if you're not going to give your all, then why even bother? If you want to be your own boss, then it's possible. I want you to know that, and I need you to believe in yourself that it is possible. Just know it may not be easy, but it will always be worth it. It truly will. So you just have to know. And do you have any final words before we end?
Well, just that, you know, whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, there's a quote that I always say that the bigger the vision, the greater the opposition, the greater the reward. So whatever, if you have a big dream, know that there's going to be some big opposition, but there's also some great rewards in the end.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
So one last question before we end.
Sure.
What do you think of your future, and what does your future look like to you? Because this is only the beginning.
Yeah, it's the tip of the iceberg. You know, to be honest with you, at this point, I don't even think I can dream big enough to know what it's going to be. I think it's just like, what will cars be like in the future? They won't even be flying. I think they'll be just teleporting, you know? So that's how I see my future. It's almost inconceivable at this point because of all the opportunities. So once you get past the threshold of just leaving, then opportunities, you know, appear every day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And if he didn't quit his good job, he would never know. You would never be able to, right?
I'll be working.
Right, because I don't think I wanted to interview that one.
No, yeah,
okay, that wouldn't have been entertaining. But I just want to say, you guys, thank you so much for watching Conversations. And you can reach me at livingtruelivingyou.com, livingtruelivingyou-life coaching on Facebook, LTLYCOM on Twitter, and also check out my Yup series on YouTube. But I thank you so much for watching, and remember, you are a star, so don't let anyone dim your shine. Thank you so much. Until next time, God bless.
Yeah.